Okay, we are here today interviewing fellow independent filmmaker, Mr. Carlos Rivera. Carlos, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
May I ask, who was it that inspired you in the poetry scene, especially growing up, in the early 80s and the mid 80s and you over in the Queens?
Well, Miguel Pinheiro, great guy. You know, his words, his mannerisms, just because of his poetry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't say enough about the guy. He was my biggest inspiration.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
Okay, yeah, you told me before, you grew up in Flushing, Queens?
I grew up in Queens, New York. Yes.
Queens, New York. For you as a filmmaker, and I believe you said earlier you were started as a poet.
Right. It was a rough time. New York has always been known to be a rough town. Queens in particular. I've seen a lot, experienced a lot, and getting into the spoken word poetry, you get to speak, your mind, literally, about what's going on around you, and really, it's really a stress reliever, okay, because you are letting emotions and what you're going through as you're living, out in a certain way, and at the same time you're entertaining, and when you capture the crowd, that's where I'm telling you the most happiness comes from, because from what you experience and what you let out and let people see, that they actually see it, they can relate to it.
Who is an inspiration to you now in the New York, either underground or mainline spoken word poet? Who inspires Carlos Rivera?
In that field, okay, from back then to now, it has grown so much, and I am so happy that it has, because it has brought so many people in, from different backgrounds, from different states, such, different living arrangements, whatever, and it's just so many great, poets out there, and like I said, in the field of that, oh my God, it's so many, I can't think of all of them, but the great aspect, the positive aspect is that so much more people are opening up their mouth, for the public to hear.
What does Nuyorican mean?
Well, Nuyorican comes from, okay, my parents were born in Puerto Rico, or grew up in Puerto Rico, okay, and I was born in New York, okay, but of Puerto Rican descent. So just putting the two together, that's where they came up with Nuyorican. Okay, that's a strong Nuyorican culture, and following, in New York, of course, and we're very proud people, very proud. We'll always be New Yorkers and Puerto Ricans, for life, and that's where it came from, That's it.
The fact that anybody can go into a store, buy a regular digital camera, start shooting it, and they're a filmmaker. Do you think that saturates saturates the industry of filmmakers who are doing this for a living, who have a passion for it, who spend the money to buy the prosumer cameras, who go to school? Do you think that saturates the bloodline of filmmakers with a lot of novice and amateurs and hobbyists?
It just doesn't take away from, really, if anything, it's they're screening themselves, okay? They get this and whatnot, they try to do it themselves, and and that's when they realize whether they have a knack for it or not, if they're really passionate about it. Just that's you differentiating yourself,
Right.
okay?
Right.
And that's it. Whether you want to just stick with your family pictures, or whether you want to, go a little bit more into video, still shots, whatever.
Okay, now I know this is a cliche question. Everybody asks it, and I apologize in advance, but I have to ask you. Can you name me just 2 directors that inspired you and why?
Out of so many, Tarantino, off the top of my head,
Wonderful director.
great director, great films. Okay, when you watch a Tarantino film, you know he did it. Okay, you know he did it. All right. Second, M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay, wow. Really?
Okay, he's a great director also. All right, but it's 2 totally different point of views. You see M. Night Shyamalan film, you know that's his. Okay, he's got totally different vision, totally different idea. And Tarantino, he's got his also. I mean, and they both are great. They're great. I love it.
I agree. Here's a little more personal question for you. Do you prefer indie movies or mainstream big production movies? Which do you prefer more to watch, and why?
More to watch or to make?
More to watch.
More to watch. I like indie films, okay? Because this is where you get the raw talent. This is where you get the people that put their soul, not to take away from the big people, okay? Don't get me wrong. But, these up and coming directors and future producers, okay, they have this certain mentality, where they coming into the business. They know they're doing good, okay, but they haven't, been they haven't been corrupted yet, and you could see, okay, where the passion took place in making the film.
What is next on the schedule for Carlos Rivera? What is next?
Next is making sure that Fudd, okay, this great director, he's gonna be a genius himself, a mad genius. I'll make sure I help him out in every way I can, okay, and in turn, he's gonna help me out too, because we're always learning,
Right.
okay, every day. And if you're a great person and open-minded person, every day you learn something new.
That is true. That is very, very true. And that's something you have to learn in life, that life itself is a constant journey and learning.
Exactly.
We never know too much, we never know everything, and that's a good thing.
Exactly.
A good thing. Mr. Carlos Rivera, I thank you very much for spending some time.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for